Hello friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. Today we have 3 great news stories. And in this video, you'll see the story from the retirement home. The story of Karen yelling at OP for not doing her job in a place where she doesn't work and then accusing her of stealing food from her real job. And a third story about a jaguar and how the great battle of 2 Karens could happen. So I hope you've already subscribed to the channel so you don't miss new videos every single day. And let's get started. I haven't worked here in years, but for you? About 6 years ago, I worked at a retirement home giving the residents a mock dining experience. Myself and the other wait staff would help bring in residents and head up serving to tables of 4 to 5 people. They would often sit together in their own groups, but unless they were volatile, we'd seat them together to keep people company and to keep service times down. We'd give them a super simplified menu with 2 specials of the day, a soup of the day, and various retirement essentials, like prune juice, available for those that needed them. It wasn't the easiest job I've ever had, but it was really spiritually fulfilling, and I made friends with many of the residents during my time there, even quietly attending one of their funerals. Let me tell you, you'd be surprised how little you know about someone you think you knew until you're at their funeral and their family starts to talk about their life. I quit after a while to pursue new jobs, but one of my great aunts was sent to respite care after a surgery, so I visited her to keep her company. As luck would have it, she was sent to receive care for her month-long stay in the same retirement home that I used to work at. A lot of the old residents still remembered me, and a couple of the kitchen staff were still the same, and even let me steal some of the godlike cookies that they needed to throw out. Cooked on site. Never had anything like them. Likely never will again. I made sure my aunt knew where all the activities were, which ones she could do for free, and which ones were worth paying for. Then I sat in on dinner to keep her company. This is when our incident happened. After the waitress had taken our order, I excused myself to use the restroom. On my way back, I had my arm caught by a lady we'll call Carol. Carol, "I'm ready to order, Lavuli." I was caught a bit off guard, but quickly realized what was going on. As I said, I worked here before, and she seemed to expect that I'd take her order. Me, I'm sure they'll be here soon, Carol. I don't have this section anymore. She let go of my arm, and I scurried back to my table. Carol seemed really confused and distraught, and I heard the other people at her table trying to explain what happened to her. Everything seemed fine for a couple of minutes. Then she started crying. I felt a bit upset, but I couldn't do anything, so I just let it happen and tried to not let it distract me. I then talked with my aunt a bit more. A few minutes passed, and her waiter came by to take their orders, starting with the person on her right and going clockwise around the table till they got to Carol, who was still crying. We'll call the waiter Dave. Dave, "And what can I get you today?" Carol, "You're not my waiter." Dave, looking a bit confused, "Well, I'll be taking your order today." At this point, Carol got upset and started shouting. Carol, "You're not my waiter. Lavuli always serves us." Dave looked really confused. Carol, I've been serving you all year, remember? I don't think we've even have a Lavuli on staff." Carol, how dare you lie to me? They served me just last night. He always serves me." Dave, changing tactics. Well, Lavuli is sick tonight, so she can't make it in today. Can I please get your food?" At this point, something has clicked with me. Carol is having none of it and refusing service, and I excused myself from my table and quietly came over and tapped Dave on his shoulder. He turned, looked at me, confused, and I just sort of plucked his book out of his hand and walked up to the table while he just stood there alarmed and clearly unsure if he should punch me in the face or find out what was going on. Me, sorry about that, Carol. Can I help you out? We're serving item 1 and item 2 today, but for you, we always have smiles as well. Carol, see, I knew she was still here. Now I'll have a... After I finished taking that order, I quietly gave Dave back her book and asked if the kitchen supervisor was still the same guy. It was, so I told Dave to tell him what happened and come get me when it was time to bring Carol her meal. It turns out Carol had recently started to lose track of time. And while they weren't sure yet if it was Alzheimer's, dementia, or something else, she just started demanding recently to talk to staff that no longer worked there, staff that never existed, and family members and friends that they didn't know about. The supervisor came by a bit later and quietly checked if I still had food handler certification so he could feel safe letting me handle the delivery of her food, and the staff thanked me for helping with the situation by comping my meal. I still think about Carol sometimes. I often wonder if what I did was actually right or if I might have made the situation harder to handle in the future for them. I'm still not sure if I honestly did the right thing at all. I didn't work there anymore, but for Carol, I worked wherever she thought I did. A Karen yelled at me for not doing my job at a place I don't work at and then accuses me of stealing food from my actual job. This is my first Reddit post, so I'll try to give some background. I worked in a mall food court restaurant for a little over 2 years. I knew most people who worked in that mall from other stores. Our food place had a special system where we deliver paid food to other employees around the mall so they don't have to waste their break time going all the way to the food court for food. I was a delivery coordinator for busy days, so it was my job to check, organize, and send out the deliveries with the runners, about 3 or 4 of them. But during the holidays, we run out of runners, and I had to go make a quick delivery. I'm used to being mistaken for an employee. I wear a uniform with a name tag that looks similar to what you would expect out of a JCPenney or a Macy's employee, even though they don't really wear uniforms. I'm headed to the store's break room to drop off the food before I'm stopped by the Karen of this story. It's the holidays. I've been there for 8 hours, already coordinating 15-year-olds, and was in a hurry to get back. I'm a good employee. Excuse me. I'm in a hurry and need to be helped. I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't work here, but the service desk is right there if you need to be assisted, I replied, polite as usual. That's a big lie. If you don't work here, why are you in uniform? I'm currently on the clock and need to get this food to the guest before it gets cold. Eating on the clock? She yelled like she didn't hear what I said. It's not for me, ma'am, and I'm sorry for the confusion. I want your manager, she yelled. Thankfully, the buyer of the order heard the commotion and came out to see what was going on, and lo and behold, the buyer was the manager. Manager, this employee's been refusing me service, and I demand they be written up. By this point, I'm tapping my foot impatiently. I get very nervous when I'm late, as we can have about 60 deliveries per hour during the holidays. The manager sees my look and understands what's going on. She doesn't work here, she works in the food court and has brought me food for my break. The service desk has the manager currently working. The Karen was silent, so I gave a bow and dismissed myself from the situation. Sadly, Karen followed me. And like usual, no one took over coordinating the orders, so the runners were just standing there waiting to be sent on a delivery. So I immediately got back to work and started sending the kids on deliveries and asked them to be quick because we're falling behind. Right as I was explaining to my manager what happened, Karen shows up demanding that I be fired for stealing food to give to my friend and roaming around while I'm on the clock. I gave my manager a "that's her" look, and he sighed and explained the situation to her. She continued to complain and everything was falling behind until I had an idea. I gave an expired promo card for a free item to my manager to give to her, and I dished out the usual apologies until she left with her expired card. Did you really give her a free meal? Nope, never feed a bear. They always come back. Even after the first manager explained things, this nutcase actually followed you? My God, these people are relentless. And moving on to our next story. Harpy dings a Karen's brand new Jaguar. This happened earlier this evening. Still SMDH over this one. LTL and FTP and other acronyms apply. I work at a hospital as an ER nurse, which means I start at 7 a.m. By 9 in the morning, all the Fs I possess are gone, and at the end of my 12-and-a-half-hour shift, I'm pretty much just done with people in general. Don't get me wrong, I love my job, but fighting Darwinism can be exhausting. So after a rather grueling shift, I stop by the grocery store for dinner. I'm tired and feeling lazy at this point, so even though I'm only grabbing a couple of things, I use a regular cart, because, I can lean on it. I do my shopping, pay for my goods, and head out to my truck. Just to inform, no khakis were involved here. Store employees wear dark brown slacks, white collared shirts, and ties. I was wearing an Incredibles scrub top, yes, the animated movie, no, you can't judge me, and bright blue scrub pants. After loading my groceries, I of course returned my wheeled crutch, shopping cart, to the corral and returned to my truck when a harpy with a RFB that would make Lewis from Malcolm in the Middle proud screams across the lot. M is me, H is Harpy. H, boy, I'm done. You can take my cart now. Me, huh? I know I look young, but really, boy? H, come over here and take my cart. Me, yeah, I don't work here, sorry. H, just do your damn job and take my cart. Me, that's gonna be a hard no from me, sorry. So I start again back towards my truck. Harpy at this point decides to thrust her cart towards me. It rolls, as carts with wheels are wont to do, and to me it's like a train wreck. I want to look away, but I can't. I'm mesmerized by the free-range movement of this cart as it runs right into a Jaguar. A nice clean one with dealer plaques still on it where the license plate should be. And a woman who totally looked like a Karen. You know the type, just getting out. So the Karen obviously started screaming and hollering as only a Karen can. Harpy's trying to blame me for not running out to catch the cart. I'm trying very hard not to start laughing. I finally get back into my truck as Harpy is screaming at me to stop. This is my fault because I should have collected her cart in the first place. The last thing I heard before closing my door and driving off was the Karen screaming at Harpy about how he's effing wearing scrubs. How could any idiot think he works here? I think this was the first time I've ever rooted for a Karen. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.